What's up, everybody? King Triple C here, the Olympic champ, the flyweight champ, and the bantamweight champion of the world. Anyhow, you guys stay tuned, and you guys don't forget to hit up Artem MMA Analysis on YouTube. Because if you don't, you guys can all do me a favor and bend the knee to King Triple C.
That's right, Henry Cejduo is going to be coming back to the UFC, so Henry Cejduo intro is going to be back for this card, and this is my early prediction for UFC 288, Sterling versus Cejduo. Should be a great event. Honestly, I'm really looking forward to it, and it should be a good card for me on picks, because when it comes to in front of arenas, in front of the crowds, the dogs tend to not bark as much as they do in the Apex. I'm on a pretty bad run right now, I will admit, but it should be all good. I should be able to turn it around again in UFC 288. This is my early picks. I will do another video probably sometime later on in the week. It might not be 48 hours from now like I normally do. It might be the day after, because I do have 2 tests this week. If you guys know, I am a university student. I've got 2 exams coming up this week, so I probably won't be uploading too much. But aside from that, let's get into it. But before we do get into it, you know me, you've got my BetUS link there, 125% sign up bonus when you sign up using my link. And then over on that side, you've got my We Want Picks promo there. You can get my premium content there. You can get all of Angelo's and Jacob's, all of the We Want Picks premium bets, the line tracker, everything. You know what I mean? You can see it all down here. The premium bets, the safety parlay. Angelo loves the safety parlay. All the bets and stuff that they've got, the Discord and everything is all there. Now, that was a long intro. That might have been the longest intro I've ever done, but let's get into it. Daniel Santos taking on Johnny Munoz Jr. Daniel Santos, he fights out of the Diego Lima shootbox team, and you know what that means. Diego Lima shootbox team, sorry. He's a mini Charlie Olives, dude. They all fight the same. Offensive Muay Thai, offensive Jiu-Jitsu, offensive grappling. It's all offense, man. These guys are always in the fight of the nights. You know it if you watch the Brazilian LFA cards. Diego Lima shootbox guys are not fighters to miss, and Daniel Santos is one of those guys, man. He just come back after a crazy comeback against John Castaneda, knocked him out in a war. Such a good fight. He did lose to Julio Arce, but that was a weird debut, you know what I mean? Because he fought for the first time in like 2 years. No one knew what he was going to look like, and then he lost to Julio Arce, who's a good fighter. He's taking on Johnny Munoz Jr. I think Daniel Santos wins this fight. I think Daniel Santos knocks out Johnny Munoz Jr. I am not sold on Munoz Jr. whatsoever. He's a great grappler. He did get it done over Ludovic Shalinian, but in that fight, man, Ludovic Shalinian did not look like he belonged in the UFC whatsoever. We saw Tony Gravely also knock out Johnny Munoz Jr. in a fight, which kind of showed that Johnny Munoz Jr. might not have the best chin. Obviously, it was a good shot from Tony Gravely, but it didn't look like it connected too much, and I think Daniel Santos is going to start off the night with a great KO over Johnny Munoz Jr. using that super aggressive Muay Thai style that the shootbox guys are known for. I think he gets a knockout. I think he knocks out Johnny Munoz Jr. and I think he probably does it early, first 2 rounds probably. There's going to be a lot of violence on this card. We're going to get another finish here. Either way, either Joseph Holmes or Claudio Ribeiro will get a finish. At one point, man, I was super high on Joseph Holmes, man. As soon as he won his Dana White's Contender Series fight, and then he beat Genovan Party as well, I was like, yeah, Joseph Holmes to the moon, and I think I overrated him a little bit. I'm going to be honest. I was all over Joseph Holmes in the Jamie Pickett fight, and he just didn't show up, and he just didn't win, obviously, as you can see. And then he come back over Alan Amadovsky, but it's Alan Amadovsky, you know, you can't put too much stock into that. Everyone beats Alan Amadovsky in the UFC. And then he lost to Junior Park in a fight. He kind of got dominated in the grappling, just dominated overall. And now he's taking on Claudio Ribeiro. Claudio Ribeiro was a guy that I did pick to beat Abdul Razak Al Hassan, and in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have. But Ribeiro did have a lot of success in that matchup in the first round with the leg kicks. He was smacking up Abdul Razak Al Hassan. But what Ribeiro wants to do is he wants to strike. Almost all of his wins are by KO. But this guy is a super sloppy striker, man. Everything he does is sloppy. It's not that technical. Joseph Holmes will be the more technical striker. Joseph Holmes is a very good chance at winning this fight, and I honestly might pick him, but for now I am leaning the Ribeiro side. I don't think you should bet this fight. I think maybe if you are, maybe bet fight doesn't go the distance, but that line is probably going to be juiced because this fight won't go the distance. But yeah, I think Ribeiro knocks him out, but it's not a confident pick whatsoever. And 80% of people on Ribeiro, We'll move on. We're going to go for another violence spot here. I think Rafael Estevam will finish Zhalgas Zhumagulov. I know everyone's pretty high on Zhalgas Zhumagulov, you know what I mean, because he probably should have beaten Charles Johnson. It was a close fight. And maybe he probably should have been Jeff Malona. And then he did lose to Manuel Karp. And then, like, he's had close fights in the past as well. And there's a lot of those decisions that really could have gone Zhalgas' way. But he's facing a finisher in Rafael Estevam. He out-grappled João Elias, who went for, like, a lot of submission fight attempts in that fight. Because it's what João Elias has a lot of success with in his career. And Estevam was able to escape. He was able to out-grapple him. And he finished him off with a pretty brutal ground-and-pound finish as well. Before that, he's knocked out good guys as well. I think you're going to see a successful win for Rafael Estevam, a successful UFC debut. I think he will beat Zhalgas Zhumagulov. I think he will beat Zhalgas Zhumagulov by finish as well. And Zhalgas, what's his mindset like right now? Because he said he was going to retire after the Charles Johnson fight. That was 3 months ago. What did he do? Did he do what I do and stress eat away some KFC or something like that? That's literally what I was doing hours ago because I'm so stressed about these exams coming up. I went and bought a family feed for KFC. I've munched half of it for lunch. I'm going to munch half of it for tea. I mean, I'm sorry. I just got to admit that. But I'm so nervous about these exams, man. I'm freaking out. But Rafael Estevam, I've got him. I think he finishes Zhumagulov. I genuinely do. I think he's going to get a finish over Zhalgas Zhumagulov. Right, Ikram Aliskerov taking on Phil Hawes. Weird line movement in this fight. Aliskerov opened up as a massive favourite, and then big dog money is coming on Phil Hawes, man. People are betting up Phil Hawes. I think the line is actually even closer than -210, and I'm all over Ikram Aliskerov here, man. I think Ikram Aliskerov's going to beat Phil Hawes, and once again, I think Ikram Aliskerov is going to get a finish. I think there's going to be so many finishes on this fight, you know, like maybe name value wise, these prelims aren't that stacked, but these guys will finish. There will be a lot of finishes on this card. It's going to be a great card for entertainment value. And I think Ikram Aliskerov, we're going to see him finish Phil Hawes. He did give Khamzat Chimaev the toughest test of his career when he was coming up, defended takedowns against Khamzat Chimaev. Did the fight last very long? Not really, but Aliskerov still was managed to crack Khamzat a couple of times. He was able to defend Khamzat's takedowns, which at the time, you know, when Khamzat was coming up, no one was able to do. And I think Ikram Aliskerov just beats Phil Hawes, man. He's a decent striker. He's not that good at striking, but when he can wrestle and when he gets you down, he just took down Mario Souza and submitted him easily. You know what I mean? And no one's been able to do that to Mario Souza. That was Mario Souza's third time on Dana White's Contender Series, and he's had a lot of success in his career. 15-2 record. He beat Nashon Burrell, former UFC fighter, great fighter to be honest. I think he's going to take down Phil Hawes. I think he might be able to beat Phil Hawes. Phil Hawes does not have the best chin in the world, but man, I think Aliskerov's going to get it done. I think Aliskerov gets it done. I think he gets it done by finish. Honestly, I think he gets it done. I think Aliskerov is the real deal. You're going to see this guy rise up the rankings rapidly. Parker Porter taking on Braxton Smith. This is such a weird one, man. Braxton Smith, you know what I mean? He fought in his debut and he lost to Chase Sherman, and then he come back, and within a year, he's gone on a 5-fight KO streak and won 5 fights in 10 months, and now he's already in the UFC, man. The UFC needs heavyweights. Braxton Smith was an up-and-coming heavyweight, and they picked him up. Now, Braxton Smith, he could be a live underdog here, because it's Parker Porter. If Parker Porter decides to stand and bang with Braxton Smith, he is going to get knocked out, man. When Braxton Smith puts people out, he puts them out, and he sleeps them brutally, man. It's crazy. Just like Justin Taffer did to Parker Porter. And a lot of people are kind of down on Parker Porter right now, but I think it's because they picked Parker Porter to beat Justin Taffer. I told you guys Justin Taffer was going to KO Parker Porter, and that's exactly what he did. Now, Braxton Smith, I don't think he's as technical as Justin Taffer is as a kickboxer. You know, Justin Taffer had a very successful kickboxing career before he did come into MMA. But, you know, Braxton Smith, I would say, is pretty sloppy. You know what I mean? He doesn't really have the best technique in the world, but he is going to make improvements. You know, he's only been back into MMA recently, and I'm going to go with Parker Porter here, but if Parker Porter decides to stand and trade with Braxton Smith, he's going to get knocked out, and it's going to be a pretty short night in the office for Braxton Smith. But the thing with Braxton Smith is he's got 5 first-round KOs. I've watched his interviews as well. He said that his cardio's good. He said that his wrestling's good. He said that he's ready to go. But I think we've seen more from Parker Porter. Parker Porter's more proven in the UFC. Braxton Smith, I haven't seen him go into the second round. You know what I mean? All I've really seen him do is knock people out in the first round. I've never really seen his wrestling tested. I've never seen his cardio tested. I'm going to go with Parker Porter for that reason. I just don't know if I can trust Braxton Smith yet. I think maybe it is something that I would be proven wrong on. I wouldn't be surprised if he can get it done. But Be interesting. And I'm also very interested in the face-off because Braxton Smith, he claims he's 5'11" in interviews. Tapology claims he's 5'11". Cejudo has him as 5'9". Smith doesn't seem to be the tallest guy, but he's fighting massive dudes, man. And it'd be interesting to see how tall is Braxton Smith really. I can't wait to see the face-off as well. I've got Porter. I think Porter probably wins a decision, maybe a greasy decision. I think he might. He'll have to avoid Smith's KO power in the first round, though. He'll have to do that. But I'm going to go with Parker Porter, which everyone is low on right now, man. And then we got another fight, which I think is not going to go the distance, man. I think Marina Rodriguez is going to finish Virna Jandiroba on the feet. She's coming off that fight against Amanda Lemos, which was just a terrible stoppage. Terribly early stoppage. It was weird. But anyway, before that, she beat Yan Xiaonan. I thought Yan Xiaonan actually won that fight, to be honest. But we haven't seen a KO in a long time, actually. 2 years from Marina Rodriguez. And she's 36. Maybe this fight does go the distance. But I'm going to go with the violent side, boys. Let's go with Marina Rodriguez by TKO. I think she might beat up Virna Jandiroba. Virna Jandiroba is a good grappler, but on the feet, she will not be as good of a striker as Marina Rodriguez. Marina Rodriguez is a great striker. If she doesn't win by KO, she's going to win by decision. I'm a little bit confused with the odds being so close. What happened in that Angela Hill fight? Because that is a similar stylistic matchup for Virna Jandiroba here. But I've got Marina Rodriguez all day, man. I think Marina Rodriguez might be able to get a finish as well on the feet. Rodriguez is, I think, a much better striker than Jandiroba. I need to watch this Angela Hill fight, though. What happened in the Angela Hill fight to make Virna Jandiroba such a close underdog? I'm interested now. But let's move on. Oh, dude, this is a good fight, too. The main event of the prelims, Khaos Williams taking on Rolando Bedoya. As we all know, Khaos Williams has insane power in the hands, and it's very interesting with Khaos Williams. He's got insane power in the hands, but he hasn't got a KO in a long time. It was against a year and a half ago against Miguel Baeza, who, we kind of learned he doesn't have the best chin. He got KO'd a couple of times after that, but he's taking on Rolando Bedoya. I've made, I believe, at least one video about Rolando Bedoya because I've talked about a lot of prospects coming up from Peru. UFC signed Daniel Marcus from Peru, and then they signed another guy from Peru, and I was like, yep, the UFC's trying to sign guys from Peru, so I made a video about the best unsigned prospects from Peru, and Rolando Bedoya was, I believe, at the top of the list. Rolando Bedoya is a fantastic fighter. Do I think that he can beat Khaos Williams, though? Not really, man. I mean, maybe. The thing is, maybe he could, but I just think Rolando Bedoya is going to be too hittable for Khaos Williams, man. Khaos Williams hits you once, and you're out, man. But maybe we could see Rolando Bedoya put a little bit of wrestling on. But Khaos Williams got good takedown defense. I thought he even beat Randy Brown as well. You know what I mean? Because he knocked him down a couple of times, landed the more meaningful shots. Not really a lot happened in that fight, but I've got Khaos Williams, man. I do think Khaos Williams does knock out Rolando Bedoya, but I am very high on Bedoya as a prospect. It's a very interesting fight. For that reason, you got Bedoya making his debut against a guy as highly rated, as highly ranked, and also as popular among the fans against Khaos Williams in such a big spot in the main event of the prelims. But I do like Khaos Williams by KO still. I probably might beat it. I don't know if I will beat Williams by KO, just because I do like Bedoya. I don't know. I just don't see Bedoya winning, though. I really do like Bedoya, though. I've made a few videos about him. He's a cool guy, but we'll move on. That wasn't the main event of the prelims. Oh, man, there's a lot of prelims. Whatever. Daniel Clark taking on Kennedy Nzechukwu. Another fight that I think is not going to go the distance, man. I think Kennedy Nzechukwu will be able to finish Devin Clark in this matchup. Devin Clark is a tough dude, man. And Devin Clark is not going to be an easy guy to finish. He's only been KO'd. He's been KO'd 3 times, actually. But, hey, he went the distance with Ion Kutalaba, who was beating on him badly, you know what I mean? They did lose to Azamat Mirzakhanov, but that kind of happens. But in that Azamat Mirzakhanov fight, he was getting beaten up by Mirzakhanov. Is Kennedy Nzechukwu the kind of guy that is going to bully you? No, not really, man, because Kennedy Nzechukwu is such a tough guy to trust, man. The fight IQ is not there. The aggression in the past has not been there either. It's kind of a difficult one. He got KO'd by Daun Jiang. Arguably should have beat Nikolai Nagumarianu, but there was a couple of point deductions in there. It was just such a weird situation. Beat Carl Roberson, but does that mean anything now? I mean, Robeson's trying to rob people in different ways than Nikolai Nagumarianu, if you know what I mean. But yeah, and then he beat Ion Kutalaba. That's a good win. I know it's aged pretty well as well, but I think we're going to see Kennedy Nzechukwu finish Devin Clark again here. It's a weird fight. Can you trust Nzechukwu with your money? No, not in my opinion. I think the fight IQ is still questionable. The aggressiveness is still questionable. It's a weird one, man. It's an odd fight, but I'm just going to go with Nzechukwu by KO. He seems to be making improvements. He seems to be the more aggressive fighter. Well, a more aggressive fighter than he was in the past. So, yeah, I feel like I can trust him. We'll go with Nzechukwu to win this matchup here. And now we've got the main event. The real main event of the prelims. My bad, guys. Drew Dober taking on the steamroller Matt Frevola. Matt Frevola, dude, he's such a likable guy. His Twitter's quite funny as well. But you gotta go with Drew Dober, man. It's gonna be interesting, though, because how motivated is Drew Dober gonna be for this matchup? You know, like, Drew Dober might not be that motivated for this fight, considering he's wanting other fights in the division, but it definitely is a fight that probably will get Drew Dober up the rankings a little bit, because I do believe that Dober is ranked number 14, if I'm correct, just off the top of my head, and he did just beat Bobby Green by KO. Now he's taking on Matt Frevola, who's KO'd 2 undefeated guys in a row. Genaro Valdez in a war, to be honest, but it was a one-sided war. It was a beatdown. And then Otman Azaita who come back. I picked Otman Azaita. As soon as I saw him step into the cage, I knew that wasn't going to hit. Otman Azaita was not the same guy that was sneaking in potatoes onto Fight Island, if you know what I mean. But I think Drew Dober on this fight is going to be able to beat Matt Frevola. Matt Frevola will look to wrestle, but we've seen Drew Dober, you know, neutralize wrestlers in the past. We've seen Drew Dober have very good wrestling and grappling defense against fighters like Islam Makhachev. Although he got dominated in that fight, he still kind of nullified what Islam Makhachev was trying to do for a long period of time in that fight. And now I think what we're going to see Drew Dober do is just knock out Matt Frevola on the feet. I think he's going to do that, man. I like Matt Frevola, but he leaves himself a little bit too open for a guy like Drew Dober. And I think we're going to see a war, man. These guys are going to go to war. And if you know one thing about Drew Dober, you can't knock out Drew Dober. That man can take damage like none other, dude. I've seen Drew Dober eat massive shots, like Rafael Alves hit him with the perfect shot, the perfect hook to Drew Dober's crimson shin. We saw Terrence McKinney feed him knees for breakfast, mate, and Drew Dober just kept eating them and he kept coming. He's not going to get KO'd by Matt Frevola. If he does, I'll be surprised, but I like Dober by KO in this matchup, man. It's going to be a fun fight. And now the first fight of the main card, Charles Jourdain versus Kron Gracie. And guess what, guys? I don't think this fight goes the distance either. This fight is such a violence card. I love this card for the violent side. And I think that we're going to see Charles Johnson probably finish Kron Gracie on the feet. Kron Gracie, you know, he hasn't fought in 3.5 years. What's he going to look like? And even then, Kron Gracie, even when he was in his prime, he still wasn't that committed to MMA. And the reason why I know that is if you watch Kron Gracie's interviews, multiple times he states he wanted to be a professional skateboarder, but the family name pressured him into taking on MMA. And that's what happened. He went into MMA. He had a bit of success, though. He did beat some really good guys, you know what I mean? Like, he did beat Alex Caceres, he beat some really good guys in Ryzen as well, but Gary Tonon in grappling as well. That's a fantastic win, honestly. But we're talking about a guy in Kron Gracie that wasn't that committed to MMA when he was in his prime, and now he's fighting for the first time in about 4 years. Like, what's motivated Kron Gracie to come back? I'm interested to watch a few interviews, hear what he's gonna say. Why is he coming back? What's he gonna do? But we know Charles Jourdain's going to be the much better striker. It is actually potentially a winnable matchup for Gracie if he can get the fight to the ground. We're talking about a guy that did compete in the World Championships in grappling. We're talking about a guy that's grappled for most of his life. We're talking about a guy that has fantastic wins in grappling as well. But it kind of just does come back to this one thing with me, man. How dedicated to MMA is Kron Gracie really? How much does he want this? Does he want this more than Charles Jourdain, who potentially could be fighting for his spot on the roster? I don't think he is fighting for a spot on the roster, by the way, at all, because I do think that UFC likes Charles Jourdain, and Charles Jourdain is pretty much a fan favorite. But if Charles Jourdain does lose this matchup, it's going to be a really bad stain on his record, you know what I mean? He'll be on a 3-fight losing streak with a 13-7 record. A lot of casual fans see fighters with bad records, and they just think, they're not a good fighter. Charles Jourdain doesn't want to be that. You know, Charles Jourdain wants to beat Kron Gracie. I think he's more committed to MMA. I think he's more the better striker. I think he's more well-rounded. You know, Gracie's just going to want to get him to the ground and sub him, which he's done before to Alex Caceres, who's no joke. And I know Alex Caceres, you know, might say that 14-11 at the time. Caceres is a veteran, man, a veteran of the UFC, been in the UFC for 10 years now or something ridiculous, and he's still ranked. He's ranked now. Alex Caceres, 4 years later, is now a ranked opponent. I like Charles Jourdain, though, in this matchup. I think he's probably going to finish Kron Gracie on the feet. I think he's going to want to keep this fight on the feet at all times. And also, like, how good is Kron Gracie's cardio going to be? You know what I mean? How hard has this man been training for the last 3.5 years? Maybe someone in the comments can let me know. But I think all the signs lead to Jourdain getting the KO in this matchup. We now move up the card. Movsar Evloev takes on Bryce Mitchell, and there's a good chance Bryce Mitchell wins this fight. Movsar Evloev, man, his biggest weakness in his career has been his cardio. And now he's taking this fight on short notice. I believe it's 2 weeks notice off the top of my head. I might have to triple check that. But Evloev has always kind of had a little bit of an issue with him running out of gas towards the third round. Yeah, now he's taking this fight on short notice against Bryce Mitchell, who's a dangerous guy, against a guy that is going to be wanting to get a win back, you know, because he just lost to Ilia Topuria. I believe he talked a bit of smack in that one there. I think he was humbled a little bit in that matchup as well. But also, again, in that loss, you know, he didn't handle that loss very well whatsoever to Ilia Topuria. You know, he talked about retirement. He wanted to retire after the loss, but I don't think he was that serious. A lot of the time when guys with great undefeated records like 15-0, which is what Bryce Mitchell was at the time, when they lose for the first time, they just don't deal with it very well. And I think that's natural to not deal with the loss very well, because when you're 15-0, you believe you can beat everyone. You know what I mean? You believe you can never lose. And I think we're looking at a 16-0 guy that's about to go 17-0. I think Movsar Evloev beats Bryce Mitchell, man. Bryce Mitchell, he just got beaten pretty bad by Ilia Topuria. You know, his striking's not that good. And you can say, yeah, he knocked down Edson Barboza, and he did. But I said this in the Ilia Topuria breakdown when I picked Topuria. He knocked down Edson Barboza because Edson Barboza was absolutely terrified of the takedown. He was terrified of the takedown. Edson Barboza did not throw. He did not throw volume. He did not throw kicks. He didn't throw anything. He was terrified of the takedown, which is why Bryce Mitchell knocked him down. Evloev on short notice scares me because the cardio is going to be a factor, man. Evloev's cardio is not that good, but he is a good striker, and he is a good wrestler, and he is a good grappler. I think what Bryce Mitchell probably has on Movsar Evloev is pure grappling. His wrestling isn't that great, but his grappling and his jiu-jitsu is great. His striking's not that great. I think Movsar Evloev can probably keep it on the feet and probably have success there. But in pure BJJ, Bryce Mitchell is a fantastic grappler. Is he the best wrestler in the world? Not necessarily. Is he the best striker in the world? Not necessarily. I think Movsar Evloev probably does have a little bit more rating, like a video game in those aspects there. I think Movsar Evloev, he can defend takedowns if Mitchell goes for them. He can keep the fight on the feet if he wants to. I'm just going to go Evloev decision. I don't think he finishes Bryce Mitchell. You know, Evloev's not really finishing. Evloev is not finishing anyone. He ain't finishing Bryce Mitchell. I'll tell you that much. I'm going with the Evloev decision. But maybe Mitchell can sub him. I think Mitchell's a live dog. I think Mitchell is a live dog. I know Jacob from We Want Picks is pretty high on Bryce Mitchell. He did say that in his live stream today. So, yeah, maybe check out We Want Picks channel and watch Jacob's video when it does come out sometime next week. If it does come out, because I do think he's going away on a holiday or something like that. But if it does, maybe you hear his reasoning. And there probably will be other people on YouTube as well picking Bryce Mitchell as the big underdog. But I do like Evloev in this matchup. I just realized that I've picked every favorite on the card. And you know what? I think it's going to continue. I think Jessica Andrade will beat Zhang Anyan. I like Zhang Anyan a lot, actually. I picked Zhang Anyan to beat Marina Rodriguez. I think she was robbed. I picked her to beat Mackenzie Dern. A lot of people think that she was robbed. I think she won the fight. I like Zhang Anyan. Zhang Anyan's a great fighter. She's a great striker. But Jessica Andrade, I think, is just going to trump her elsewhere. You know what I mean? I think Jessica Andrade can go for takedowns. I think Jessica Andrade can use her wrestling and can use her grappling to win this fight. And I think that is probably what a smart game plan would be for Andrade. And even on the feet, it's competitive because Andrade is a little bulldog, honestly. She's got power, you know what I mean? She's small. She's 5'1" with 62-inch reach, but she closes the distance and she lands hooks, and she has good striking technique. So does Zhang Anyan, though, to be fair. A lot of women's fighters, when you watch their striking technique, it sometimes isn't that great, but Jessica Andrade's striking technique is good, and that is why she has so much success in the striking on the feet. She can wrestle and she can grapple, and in my opinion, she probably wants to do that against Zhang Anyan, because Zhang Anyan is a great boxer. She's a great striker. I think Zhang Anyan might be able to win a lot of striking exchanges in this matchup, but, you know, if Andrade can mix up the striking with the grappling, I think she'll have a lot of success, because one thing that Zhang Anyan did very well in her last fight against Mackenzie Dern was keep the fight on the feet where she was having her own success. Mackenzie Dern only had success when she got the fight to the ground, but Yan has fantastic takedown defense, which means that she probably can defend takedowns from Jessica Andrade. But it's a lot harder to defend takedowns when you're fighting someone that's mixing up their striking with their grappling, and that is what Jessica Andrade can do that Mackenzie Dern can't really, because we all know that Mackenzie Dern's striking is pretty abysmal. It really is. We're just going to be honest. Everyone kind of knows it. Mackenzie Dern's striking's terrible. She doesn't really set up the takedowns too well because she doesn't have a fearful amount of striking to set it up, but Jessica Andrade does. So Yan's going to have to worry about the striking and the grappling from the Andrade side. So I think Andrade, if she mixes it up, she should be able to win this fight. I don't think she gets finished though. I think we get a decision. I think we might get a couple of decisions on this main card here, but the prelims are all action, boys, and I will be live streaming during these prelims on my YouTube channel as well, by the way. So if you need a live fight companion, watch me, watch my streams, you know what I mean? Because the We Want Picks channel, if you're here from We Want Picks, will not be live during UFC 288 to my knowledge, because Jacob won't be live streaming, so I'll be live. I'll be live on my channel, so check me out. Let's move on to the co-main event. Belal Muhammad versus Gilbert Burns. I'm going with Gilbert Burns. This is an all-favorite card. You guys are going to flame me in the comments for this, aren't you? You guys are going to flame me in the comments for picking all favorites. Whatever. we'll live with it. We'll live with it. I'm going with Gilbert Burns. I'll go with Gilbert Burns. He is the favorite. I still think he wins, though. I think he might be able to finish Belal Muhammad, man. I did this in like an individual video on my YouTube channel. I kind of broke down the fight probably a little bit more in-depth than I will here. But I like Gilbert Burns in this fight. I do. I like his striking. I think he's the better striker than Belal Muhammad. I also like his activeness a lot more than Belal Muhammad, because Belal Muhammad hasn't fought in 5 months, which isn't that long of a layoff, you know what I mean? But Belal Muhammad, he said on Twitter, I'm going to be coming off the couch. I can't make 170 pounds. I don't want to fight at 170. We can fight at a catch weight. I'm coming off the couch. I won't make the weight. That sounds to me like a guy that is going to have a tough weight cut. Now, I believe Belal Muhammad will make the weight. He is a professional, and I do think he's going to make the weight cut without any complications whatsoever, and I think it's going to be a pretty good look for him on short notice. But, you know, just those comments kind of make me think that maybe Belal Muhammad, you know, was during Ramadan as well. I do believe that he probably was training through Ramadan, but Belal Muhammad maybe just wasn't training as hard as Gilbert Burns has been. You know, Gilbert Burns, he's late in his career. He's 36 years old. He knows now is the time to go. He knows if he loses a fight, he's probably not going to be a world champion because he's so old. He probably wants to retire within the next couple of years, and he wants to retire after he's become a world champion, and now he's hustling. And that's what you got to love about Gilbert Burns. He fought Khamzat Chimaev when no one would. He was ranked number 3, and then he fought Neil Magny. You know, he took a bit of time off, but he took a lot of damage in that fight. Neil Magny. A month later, or a couple of months later, Jorge Masvidal, 2 weeks later, here he is against Belal Muhammad. And if he beats Belal Muhammad, it's Gilbert Burns' title shot time, boys. I think that these two probably will be fighting for a title shot here. I think if you give Colby Covington the title shot after this fight happens, it's just disrespectful, honestly. I think you have to give the winner of this fight the title shot. I think Gilbert Burns is going to beat Belal Muhammad. I think he finishes him, man. I think on the feet, Gilbert Burns is the much better striker. You know, Belal Muhammad looked kind of good in the striking against Sean Brady. And who was Sean Brady losing to on the feet? Michael Chiesa. And what is Michael Chiesa known for? Having the worst striking in the welterweight division. Belal Muhammad, you can say all you want about, oh, Belal Muhammad's striking is underrated, this and that. Yes, he finished Sean Brady on the feet, but it was competitive on the feet coming into that finish. And Sean Brady was losing on the feet to Michael Chiesa, who is known for having absolutely shocking striking, some of the worst striking we've ever seen. So, Belal Muhammad ain't going to outstrike Gilbert Burns. Can he clinch Gilbert Burns up against the fence and win a decision? Yes, he can do that. But if it gets to the ground, Burns is dangerous. Burns has beautiful BJJ. That was a weird way of saying it, but he does have great BJJ. In MMA, though, it's not really the best jiu-jitsu. His win over Neil Magny was his first submission win, I want to say in like 4 years or something like that. For someone that is a former world jiu-jitsu champion, you kind of would want more submissions from Gilbert Burns recently, you know what I mean? The last time he got a submission in the UFC was against Mike Davis in 2019, I was correct. That was his first win in 4 years by sub. But I think Gilbert Burns is more dangerous on the feet. I think Gilbert Burns is more dangerous on the ground. I think he's going to finish Belal here. But the cardio is interesting too, by the way, because I forgot to mention. This is a 5-round fight. Burns has the cardio, man. And Belal probably does too. I don't doubt Belal's cardio. But he did say, I'm coming off the couch. And also the reason why this will be 5 rounds, why both guys probably called for this to be 5 rounds, is because if they win this fight, they have to get a title shot. They're coming off a 5-round win. You know, before you see guys get the title shots, you do want to see them go 5 rounds, at least once in their career. And we're going to see this again from these guys. Both of these guys have been 5 rounds before. Now they're getting a 5-round fight. They win this fight, they should get a title shot 100%. I'm going with Burns. I think Burns finishes Belal Muhammad in this matchup. Now we move on to the main event. You got the Henry Cejduo intro at the start. You're getting the Henry Cejduo pick. That's right, guys. I have been 50-50 on this fight the whole time since it was announced. I don't know. I'm going to be honest, man. Like, I am a pretty honest dude. I'm getting a lot of... you guys can't see it. I'm getting so many advertisements for Snoop Dogg's raffle, which is hilarious. But anyway... Aljamain Sterling taking on Henry Cejduo. This is a massive fight, in my opinion, you know? Like, this is huge. We've got Henry Cejduo, who is one of the greatest of all time. A former gold medalist in Olympic wrestling. You know, you don't really see that too much. Former 2-time, as well, champion, flyweight, bantamweight. He wants to be the featherweight champ as well, so you know this won't be his last fight. Maybe if he loses, it will be his last fight, but... I'm doing it, man. I'm picking Henry. Oh, God. I already regret it. I already regret the decision. But I'm going to give you a reason why, okay? I've been 50-50 on this fight the whole time. A lot of people have very strong opinions either way. People that are on the Sterling side are heavy on the Sterling side. People on the Cejduo side are heavy on the Cejduo side. I've always been 50-50. And if I could just decide to not make a pick on this fight, I would. Don't bet this fight, in my opinion. There will be people out there that will be betting the fight. In my opinion, just don't. Unless you really want to. Maybe just bet the underdog, whoever it is. But I would rather you didn't. Or I'm not going to. I'm definitely not betting this fight at all. But Henry Cejduo's the pick. And here's how I kind of come to the conclusion. I was kind of making this video just then. I didn't have a final pick. And I just went with, what's my gut telling me? And I've got a big gut right now. It's full of KFC. I told you guys earlier in the video... I ate a lot of KFC because I'm so stressed about my exams. It's a very bad trait, but I stressed I ate a bit of KFC. It's full right now. My gut is telling me Henry Cejduo. I'm picking Henry Cejduo. And, jeez. I just spent about 3 or 4 minutes spouting absolute nonsense about this fight, huh? I'm picking Henry Cejduo. I think Aljamain Sterling, I think he's going to try and do what he did to Petr Yan, what he has done to previous opponents, and wrestle, and grapple, and backpack, that we have seen Sterling tire before, and if anyone's going to make you tire, it will be Henry Cejduo. But the thing is, you can't say, oh, Artem. Henry Cejduo hasn't fought in 3 years. How good is Henry Cejduo's cardio going to be? Henry Cejduo would not return if he didn't believe in his cardio, if he didn't believe in himself, if he didn't believe in his style, and if he didn't believe in his skills. Henry Cejduo, I think he's back for good, man. I think he's back, and I think he's back to take the belt off Aljamain Sterling in this fight, because I think Henry Cejduo, his wrestling is so good that he's going to be able to defend Aljamain Sterling's wrestling attempts. I believe he's going to be able to keep it on the feet. Is Henry Cejduo striking that good that he's going to make Aljamain Sterling pay for failed takedown attempts? Maybe not, because Sterling does have a very funky striking style, should I say, but I can see Henry Cejduo having big moments on the feet. You know, we're talking about a guy that knocked out Dominic Cruz on the feet, and that's a great win. And it was a good win at the time as well. Henry Cejduo, in my opinion, I think he's going to be able to make Aljo tired. I think Aljo's going to be going for takedowns. I think Henry Cejduo's going to be defending them. And it's going to make Aljo tired. He's going to gas Aljo out. And I think he's going to have a lot of success in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round if he doesn't gas out himself. Because that's a big one. Can Henry Cejduo go 5 rounds at this point in his career? He's 36 years old. I know it's going to sound stupid, but he is the oldest he's ever been in a fight. He's 36 years old now. You know, a lot of guys, you know, they have actually retired by the age of 36, and Henry Cejduo's still doing it. Has Henry Cejduo been dedicated to fighting? We know he's been coaching. We know he's been having a lot of success as the coach. I believe he even coached John Jones as well prior to his fight with Cyril Gane. And he's coaching a lot of guys too. Henry Cejduo is a great coach. He's passed a lot of knowledge down to a lot of great fighters. Now it's time to see, can Henry Cejduo do it himself? Can he do it himself? Can he come back and beat Aljamain Sterling? I think he can. I think he can. I think he can beat Aljamain Sterling. I think Aljamain Sterling... Oh, I'm not going to be a hater, but this is the truth, okay? I'm not hating, but it is the truth, okay? He beats Pedro Munoz, great win, and then he dominates Corey Sandhagen, fantastic win. Aged great, that win. beats Petr Yan by DQ. You could argue maybe he was up going into the round or whatever when it happened, but the momentum was on the Yan side. And then he got DQ'd. And then he fought Petr Yan, who couldn't have his corner with him due to like visa issues or something. So Petr Yan fought him with pretty much no corner, just random dudes that he called up, I guess. And then lost a split decision because he just fought like an idiot in the first round. Honestly, I do think Sterling won the fight, by the way, if you want my opinion on that. I think Yan just didn't do enough in the first round. And then he fights TJ Dillashaw, who goes into the fight injured, injures himself immediately, and it's just a one-sided beating because Dillashaw just couldn't do anything. It was a weird win. Sterling just hasn't really had a great performance since he beat Kat Sandhagen, in my opinion. Rough call, I know, but I think Cejudo beats him. I think Cejudo gets him. I think Cejudo gets him late. I think Cejudo probably wins a decision. Third, fourth, and fifth round are the key rounds in this fight, man. I don't think anyone's going to dominate one way or another. Yeah, I'm going with Henry Cejduo, dude. I'm doing it. I can't believe I'm doing it, but I'm going to. I think even Cejudo can have 6 years offensive grappling. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm hyped to hear what you think. As always, though, well, not as always, I've kind of been off the streams recently, but I will be live streaming for UFC 288, which I'm very excited about. I will be doing a fight companion from the start to the finish. It's going to be such a good card to do a fight companion as well, by the way. And, yeah, I will see you guys in the next video, which will probably be like my UFC Vegas fights to make next, or my UFC predictions. As I said, I've got exams coming up. I'm freaking out right now. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one.